This is session 3 of God's preparation. Yesterday we looked at how he's preparing the people of the East. The third empire of the statue that Nebuchadnezzar saw in his dream was the Greek Empire. Now the Greeks were brilliant. Their mathematics, their architecture, their philosophy, their form of government still resound around the world today. One thing they emphasised was physical prowess, physical beauty. And you only have to look at Greek statues to see how they present the human form in such a perfect form. They sought after perfection and they were very good at it. If you look at the Parthenon today, it's an amazing building. Even though it's partly destroyed, it's still an amazing building. And it looks absolutely perfect. But nothing in that building is straight. Every pillar is different. The sides bulge out. The floor rises at the centre. To the eye it looks perfect, and this is the brilliance of the architects and the builders, that they built this in such a way that when you look at it with the naked eye it just looks absolutely perfect. Because the Greeks sought after perfection. They wanted people to be physically and mentally perfect. The Greek Empire took off under Alexander the Great in the 300s BC, and his conquest took him right across the Middle East to northern India. He even went down into parts of Egypt. Now the Greeks didn't just rule these areas, they tried to actually make them Greek. They built Greek cities, they took their literature, their architecture, their learning, their love of the human physique to everywhere they went. And so they brought a highly civilized civilization, or a highly developed civilization, to these lands. There's one thing that stood out in what they did, and that was that the Greek language spread right across the area. And although people would speak their native language, they would, most of them, all understand Greek. And that would be the language that they used to communicate across lands. The outcome of this was huge for the spreading of the gospel. Paul was able to go anywhere and to preach and be understood. The New Testament was written in Greek, and Paul's letters could be read by any of the churches because they would understand it. And Paul himself was obviously very proficient in Greek because he was able to debate with the Greek debaters and hold his own with them. It was Luke who wrote his gospel to the Greek world. And Luke was a doctor, and we get little hints in his writing that would speak to the people of Greece and their Greek culture. This simple statement here, Luke 2:40. And the child grew and became strong. He was filled with wisdom, and the grace of God was on him. Okay, Greeks who looked for physical perfection, Luke told them Jesus grew strong. Greeks who loved philosophy, Luke says Jesus was filled with the wisdom of God. Greeks who were seeking the perfect man, and Luke says the grace of God was on him. Greeks had established the notion of listening to what different teachers would have to say. They loved to debate. So when Paul went to different places, there was this natural curiosity. Let's hear what this guy has to say. This was especially so in Athens, where they said they wanted to hear more of Paul, even though they didn't quite understand what he was on about. Luke wanted the Greek people to know that their perfect man could be found in Jesus, and only in Jesus.
Call like an aim in the darkness and watch as your glory unfolds. For there is no measure or end to the power you hold. Justice and truth are your virtues, with many to vast for our words. No mind contains the splendor of all that you are. Our God has done great things. Our God is greater than all. Miracles are your memorial, the promise of wonders to come. You are the author, God, you complete it all.